Yeah.
Hello and welcome to the Tech Disruptors podcast. My name is Darren, and this lovely gentleman on my left is...
It's Jason right here.
I know, it's always Jason. I don't know why I introduce you. We're the same people every week, but
I know.
It's like a weird, I feel like strange not kicking things off that way.
Before we get into anything major.
Yes, absolutely.
Now, we kind of, sometimes we do these run sheets with things we want to talk about.
Yes.
And I was looking at yours, and there's something I just saw before we started about physical media.
Yes.
So CDs are obviously going extinct, but I have seen recently that there's a company that's doing a optical disc that can hold 1,000 times the storage of any previous digital. I mean, is that, and they're saying, is this the return of the disc?
Well, remember last week we were talking about VHS. And how Alien Romulus was being released on VHS in an exclusive release. Now, I don't know anybody that still has a VHS player, but here's the thing. It's a cool idea. And people are starting to get into this nostalgic tech now, right?
Well, the difference between that is VHS hasn't changed. They're just doing like a retro throwback. This is like a totally different, like bringing retro, but also bringing benefits to it. I don't know. I did watch Romulus, though, over the weekend, and
it was pretty good, right? That last scenes is pretty fucking scary.
It's crazy how much better with like CGI and because the original one was really good and they didn't have any of that, but yeah, it was good. It's what I expected, I guess I could say. Yeah.
So not the best, but not the worst, basically.
We watched The Wild Robot.
Oh yeah, I heard that was good.
Holy cow. I mean, for an animated, it makes you sad, it makes you happy, it makes you laugh. My kids loved it. So if you haven't seen it, you guys check it out. Good movie.
Wild Robot.
Yeah.
Now, before we jump into this week's show, I think we might just actually take a little step back to last week's show.
Mm-hmm.
So last week's show, I just want to kind of address a couple of things that came up last week. So last week we had, I'm not even going to name names on here, but we had a certain guest on our show who was very angry and was calling out other people on social media, saying some not very nice things about them.
Correct.
Dropping a lot of expletives and saying they're cowards and all this stuff. Now, one of the reasons that said person was booted from the show has a lot to do with his attitude and his approach to the way that he was bringing this up, but also the fact that he directly called you out, Jason, which as your co-host, I thoroughly and highly disagree with. And he said something to you, which he'd been saying to a lot of people on last week's show. And that was part of the reason why we removed him from our broadcast. Now, I know that some people reached out to us and said, hey, you should have just let him go. But
muted him. Maybe just mute him and let him cool down a little bit.
Correct.
In my opinion, that probably wouldn't have worked.
No.
I feel he probably would have ducked out.
Yeah.
But I get it. Yeah.
And, and I just want to kind of like let everybody at home know that, on a podcast like this, we talk about tech, right? Like we try to keep it light. We try to keep it fluffy. The only reason that we had said person on last week was because we wanted to give him a chance to clear his name, but he decided to go on a bit of a tirade calling people out.
Well, and in his defense, I mean, I did make a thumbnail with his face on it, which can be kind of attacking. And a lot of people were attacking him. But what made me upset about the whole situation was we gave him the opportunity to voice his concerns, right or wrong. And what I think that the boat that sailed that kind of made me upset about the whole situation was, yes, he was being attacked and he had every right to lash out. Maybe not like that, but why can't we just like, even not just saying in tech, but as a society, just say, look, there's difference of opinions on everything we do. And why is it that if my opinion is different than yours, did you have to say F this, F? Now, he did say F you to me. I wasn't upset about it. You're the one that booted him, which for obvious reasons. I just think that we need to have like the
Chill,
tech community. Yeah, like
relax.
we gave you an opportunity to talk.
Yeah.
And we couldn't get a word in edgewise.
Correct.
And then when he started saying all this stuff, he made a comment. Hey, I'm not the kind of YouTuber that's going to bring anybody down. I'm not going to call them out. I said, well, you just did. He goes, yeah, F them and F you.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't talk about money, but then you're bragging about money. It's just,
yeah,
it was too much, too quick. I think if he would have took a deep breath and just slowed down,
100%.
And I agree with his side. Yes, you utilize a tool that YouTube gave you, but I also understand the other side was like, it's kind of fishy. So
Absolutely. Yeah.
But if you have a different opinion, it's F you and you're an idiot, basically, the impression I got from that.
And look, I mean, I don't want to go into this any more than last week, because I mean, last week I feel like we said what we needed to say. But just for everyone that was listening after the fact, and maybe you caught the podcast on Spotify and you were hearing some things that weren't very pleasant. Let's just say we have moved on, and I think the world has moved on and forgotten about.
Yeah, for sure. And that's not how our podcast. We don't want it to be. You come in here and you're attacked or attacking others. We want to have this is all about like just talking about tech and having fun doing that.
Exactly. So, welcome to the Tech Disruptors podcast.
So, Darren, F you. No,
now, we are the Tech Disruptors. We love to talk tech and tech
Yes.
news and reviews. Now, I'm going to kick things off. I know we talk about AI normally, but I want to talk about something a little bit different to kick things off today. So, have you ever owned a drone, Jason?
I have.
Okay. And what was your impression when you had said product?
I was terrible at flying them. I think I wrecked all of them.
Oh, okay.
I had one, I can't remember the brand. It actually would follow you. And that one did okay, but I had like a Parrot, the company Parrot. They had some really expensive drones, and I bought one of those, and that thing cost me a lot of money. It was one of the first ones.
Yeah.
And one day it was windy, and it could not control. And and then the other one, I had one for like 3 days, and it broke, and I could never get it fixed. So yeah, my impression is they're cool for certain things, but not for me.
Well, what if I told you that the U.S. Marines have developed kamikaze drones?
That wouldn't surprise me.
I wouldn't surprise you. Well, let's talk about it for a second. So, right now, there is a little bit of AI in this story. I probably kind of like.
Well, hold on. So a kamikaze pilot would sacrifice themselves and be like a physical bomb. So I'm guessing that's what this is. What the government needs to do is hire me because I can't fly them. So everything I fly is a kamikaze already.
Well, so basically what they've done here, the U.S. Marines have hired a company, and that company is, off the top of my head, the Bolt family of military drones. I think the company's called Bolt, off the top of my head. And basically, they've been developed specifically for the U.S. Marine Corps. And basically, they're trying to, I guess, modernize their program. So they've brought in these, and this is just for the record. These are coming off of a lot of investments they've made in autonomous vehicles and AI. So the Bolt and Bolt M are their latest standard of military kamikaze drones. So basically, they say here that they're used for surveillance, quote unquote, and search and rescue operations. But that's the regular standard Bolt version. That's kind of like the iPhone 16. But the 16 Pro Max, or the Bolt M, comes equipped with explosive munitions for active combat scenarios. So basically, it's, if you can imagine a drone that's loaded with a bomb. And at any given time, as you're flying this drone, once you're above or over the target, it can identify the target and then essentially drop out of the sky and land, delivering the payload, which I find absolutely amazing.
Well, I might have missed it because I was typing some stuff, but is it controlled by a person or by AI? Like, is it pre-programmed with a flight pattern and it goes to that location, or is it piloted?
Well, you know what? I got a video, so that might actually help us out here. So this is actually the Bolt.
Copyright incoming.
Well, maybe not. I mean, it's
well, it doesn't matter.
Right?
No,
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
So this is the Bolt and Bolt M. Now, if you just keep watching it, it's a little 2-minute video. I'll kind of speed it up a little bit. But if you watch towards the end, you'll see the kamikaze drone.
Are they trying to sell me one of these?
Yeah. So it's AI enabled.
Okay, there you go.
So
That's pretty cool.
So this is, they show you kind of like the
13 pounds. Wow.
Yep. It's packable in a backpack, which is kind of cool.
Wow. That thing's bigger than it looked in the air.
Okay, so it's handheld. It looks like.
Well, but it's got some AI features as well. It looks like.
Yeah, like tracking. I guess tracking the target.
40 minutes of flight. What?
Now, if you just keep watching, so it's GPS, autonomous, like all of it. But when it wants to attack, this is how it does it. If you are listening at home, you're watching a militarized kamikaze drone attack a SUV that is driving. So now it's locked onto its target. Like, watch this space. Not yet.
So dramatic.
I know, right?
But they got a big contract. This is their commercial, though.
Yeah, now, this is the impressive part, right?
Up to 3 pounds of payload capacity.
3-pound bomb, basically.
Wow.
So watch, it just literally drops out of the sky, which is fucking crazy.
Wow, look at that. That's crazy. You can set the parameters and how high you want to fly before it drops.
This is pretty impressive to see this. Watch. Now, it doesn't actually hit.
Oh, yeah, but you see all the stuff it just shot out? Holy cow.
Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I saw that and went, I want one.
So, this is interesting because it did like kamikaze, like, crash.
Yeah.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, it started playing a follow-up track.
So it didn't like actually crash into the vehicle, but it looks like it has a bomb and it explodes itself, but it's get close enough. So if it has, I don't know what the kind of, I'm not a bomb guy, but I don't know what, had stuff in it that shot out. That's instantly, and of course the U.S. government has to do this for our, we're so big in our military. So, yeah.
Defense, and that's how it's supposed to be. So just looking at it, so it can deliver a payload of 3 pounds or 1.4 kilograms for Canadians. Yes. And it can be, it enables operators to swap between anti-personnel and anti-material warheads.
Jesus Christ.
And changing battle requirements.
Could you imagine if they attach like guns to that thing and you see it flying through your neighborhood? Oh my God.
Now, actually, you know what's impressive here? And this is looking at like just as a drone itself. So it has a 40 minutes of flying time or 12.5 miles of range. That's pretty good.
That is really good. But again, this is the consumer part of me. I'm not a government that has billions of dollars to spend on national defense.
Yeah.
But when you buy a drone, let's say you buy a DJI, you pay $1,000 for it. That's a lot of money, and you want it to last. The U.S. government's probably got a large contract with this company if they haven't already, and they're probably paying a very high premium because that's a hell of a drone. And you got to remember, let's say they pay $15,000 per drone, probably more than that, and they use it one time and it explodes. It's like, I mean, the controller, I guess you can save and, maybe synchronize with another device, but that's the only thing you're going to be able to save from that. That's crazy to me.
Let me ask you this, because it actually might surprise you here, right?
Okay.
I looked up the price of a Bolt M drone. It's actually not too bad, I don't think. Like looking at this, sorry, just give me a second, because I know they're using these kamikaze drones in the war in Ukraine currently now. And those are like, so unsophisticated. They're made for about $500 a piece, but they're destroying tanks and artillery and trucks.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But I'm trying to see if I can find the price of.
But I think the ones in the Ukraine thing, I think those were like made in house, and they actually probably have physical bombs on them, and they're just crashing right into these tanks. This is a little different. Yeah,
I'm just, again, I know.
We only saw one scenario too. There might be a scenario where there is a real bomb, and they can crash into a tank and missile, whatever. I don't know.
So, I know, like, it looks as though they're doing it in contract. So I don't know if they have an individual price, but I believe that we're looking at almost $10 million investment into this company here.
So it's not like a buy two, get one free?
I'm assuming they're buying in bulk. That would probably,
You buy 100,000, we'll give you 25 grand more.
100%. And I mean, look, as far as I'm concerned, the idea of like I said, a militarized drone, that's pretty impressive. I'm going to be honest with you. I kind of want one, not to blow anybody up, just to, scare the neighbor's cat or
use a drone.
Yes. Now, we've been talking, you and I, just before the show started, and we've been laughing at a few other things that we've seen this week. Now, the kamikaze drone was definitely my favorite, but another one, and I'm going to pose this to all the people who are watching us live right now in the chat. Feel free to answer this as well. Jason, when was the last time you saw a computer or used a computer with a floppy disk? Now, for the people that don't know what a floppy disk is, or you young people,
I'm going to say prior to, I would say probably the 90s. I mean, late 80s, early 90s. I mean, when you say floppy, there's different sizes. I used 5 1/4 and 3 1/2. I believe there's a size bigger than 5 1/4, but that was before my time.
Yeah.
And mostly I used 3 1/2 because we would have what's known as shareware, and you'd get magazines with a disc. Yeah.
Now, how would we describe a floppy disk to the young folk at home there, Jason? What would be the best way to...
Well, I never understood why they called it a floppy disk when I had a 3.5 because they're not really floppy. Right, but I think it's because if you guys go to Google search, for those of you who don't know, type in 5 1/4 or whatever, floppy disk, and you're going to see it's 5 1/4 and it's got a hole in the middle and a section about, and it bends and it flops around. But we use it to store data, and I think a 3.5 only did what, 1.5 meg? I can't even.
I think the best way to describe, I'll give you an official definition here. A floppy disk is a type of removable storage media that used to store data on computers. And they could hold about, at its top end, 1.44 megabytes.
Yeah, well, a meg and a half, yep.
Yeah, and they first developed in 1971. Now, I'll pull up a picture for those at home.
I was just going to do the same thing.
The 3 different sizes of floppy disks.
You probably got the same picture I'm looking at right now.
I probably do. This one right here, right?
Yep.
Oh, no, there we go. So these were the 3 different sizes of removable storage.
So the 5 1/4 is the red, the 3 1/2 is the blue. I don't know. I'm not familiar with the one that's in the black. That's way before me. That's probably what?
Way before your time. I think I played a Star Wars game on one of those black, larger ones at one point, Commodore 64. But my point is I saw a story. It's very rare that we hear about floppy disks anymore. They've been superseded with, terabyte hard drives and
CDs, DVDs, all that stuff. Yeah, yeah.
But I actually saw an article this week that caught my attention because a company has paid, a city in the United States has paid the company Hitachi, which you may know as a computer company, $212 million to remove the still existing, still being used 5.25-inch discs from its light rail service. So San Francisco has a light rail service. Now, I'm not sure what they were using.
What are they using a 5 1/4 disc for?
Yeah, a 5 1/4. I have no idea. I don't know if it's like the route is what I thought initially, like maybe to help them, I don't know, figure out where the fuck they're going.
Yeah, but that's not big enough.
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
I'm thinking maybe software updates, firmware updates, but that's not even big enough for firmware. I mean, well, I take that back. I know when I was growing up with 3 1/2, a lot of games came on like 20 of those, so you had to put one in. You put one in, you can start installing. It says, "Hey, and take it out, put disc 2 in." Maybe that's what it's for, like software updates.
So I believe it was for automatic train control system.
Oh, sounds really important.
So it sounds like something you don't want to have on a floppy disk. But I mean, okay, but now let's look at the other way of this, right? So let's look at the other side for a second. Floppy disks, they're pretty reliable.
Yeah.
You don't worry about them being hacked.
You can't get close to magnets, but besides that, they're pretty reliable.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, you can't be hacked. There's no Wi-Fi connectivity. It's all stored on device, on storage. I get it.
Yeah, but I mean, couldn't you say the same thing about a CD or a DVD? They're pretty secure. I mean, you can scratch them, but they're not
They were
Wi-Fi
using,
enabled.
they were using a Sony Walkman from the 90s, so every time the train jittered, it would like jump and like the track would know where it was. So,
Ah,
there was
right.
no shock exhaustion there, right?
Yeah.
Now, I don't know about you, but having your automatic train control system, the ATCS, on a floppy disk doesn't seem like a great idea.
Well, either
Um,
that or the ATS system doesn't require a whole lot of anything.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I understand that they want to bring it into the modern era.
But they didn't say they're upgrading. They just said they're removing. So what are they doing instead? USB drives?
Apparently it's a part of a $700 million major overhaul. So this is like the first 200 million of fixing their train system there in San Francisco. And they want to replace the loop cables and Wi-Fi. They want to put in Wi-Fi and all this
So
stuff.
it's not just this. It's a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't think most people would be reassured knowing that floppy disk is controlling. I mean, we've got to remember floppy disks were superseded in the late 80s.
Yeah, but think about it. You can make a movie about this. Like
you absolutely could.
You could do one of those Taken 12, and he gets on the train. He's like, I know how to stop it. He grabs a magnet out of his pocket, goes to the cockpit, and just deteriorates the 5 1/4 drive so it can't stop or can't go, and he makes that with the girl.
That's pretty impressive. That's a good storyline. I like that. Now, ironically, they do have computers in these trains, and their browser of choice was Netscape Navigator, which was also from the late 80s, early 90s.
Are you kidding or are you serious?
No, I'm just kidding. I was
going to say, I think when the 5 1/4 drive was out, they didn't have the internet like they do today, and maybe billboards, but they didn't really have web browsers.
Yes, this is true. Sorry, yes.
Because did Netscape and AOL come? Well, they did come on disk drives, but they also came on CDs free with every magazine you ever bought, if you bought magazines.
Navigator. I used to love that browser. That was my first.
Which one was it?
Netscape.
Oh, yeah. Never had AOL. Growing up, we always used Internet Explorer or Netscape.
Now, I believe that Netscape was the origin of Chrome. I think somewhere along the line, I'm almost certain.
Google, you maybe swallowed them up early?
Yeah, I don't remember exactly, but I'm sure there was something like that in the early days. But floppy disks are still being used, which is absolutely crazy.
I still have one here. No, I'm just kidding. But Hitachi didn't just make discs, though. Hitachi made CD-ROM drives.
Yes.
We called them Disk A. That was your A drive. That was your floppy drive, generally starting out.
Didn't they also make computers and TVs at one point? I want to say a bit like RCA.
Yeah, I think Hitachi had their hands in a lot of things. They made a lot of stuff. I just know when I was building computers back in the 90s with my dad, a lot of the CDs and disk drives we put in, even hard drives, were Hitachi. Yes. I remember growing up and having certain brands that we would only like. Oh man, what was some of those brands of hard drives? Man, I just remember, because they would there's physical moving parts in them, and they would, they give up the ghost. And there were certain brands you wouldn't touch, and certain ones you would, like Western Digital or whatever. Going back a long time.
I get it now. Going to the other end of the technological spectrum, there's been some talk, and I keep thinking, when I saw this week, and I heard about this week. The first thing that came to my mind was our end of year show. Because our end of year show, for those of you who are listening, is our biggest show of the year. Like thousands of people watched last year. But here's the irony. In one of the categories in our end of year show is the biggest flop of the year. You may remember last year.
There's a lot of flops this year, but I'm thinking of I've already so we do like phone of the year, budget phone of the year, or whatever. We do a lot of categories, and I don't always have an answer because like laptop of the year, I don't really upgrade. I don't get to review laptops very often, but we did a biggest flop last year. I don't remember what that was. What was our biggest flop last year?
Oh, did we say I said the Pixel last year. I don't remember what you said.
Oh man.
I don't remember what it was, but it was usually flops are bad.
But here's the thing about flops. Usually they're like humane AI. Like a company who's trying to start something, they're not huge. We need to talk about humane, by the way, too. But anyways, but like Rabbit or we don't usually talk about your Samsungs, your Googles, your your Apples, because they have so much R&D that these products come out and they're usually ready to go or fixed pretty quickly with software. But go ahead. I got a funny feeling I know where you're going with this.
So there's been talk this week of the death of the Apple Vision Pro.
I love it's got the Facebook guy.
Yes, nice little meme here from Zuckerberg. Pissing
And you
out.
know, that's probably how he thinks. He goes, "Look, you just developed the same thing I have. While granted, top quality
Yes.
components in that Vision Pro, but you were expecting $3,500 for something you can do on what's the 3S cost? I don't even know. What, 300?
Yeah, $399.
I think the 3 is $499. So for $400, you can get a. Yeah,
I know.
this is a big misstep by Apple.
So the Apple Vision Pro is Apple's VR, AR, VR special, $8,000 Canadian headset. And there's talk from some pretty reputable sources here. Now, I saw this article originally on Android Headlines, but that wasn't where the original source came from. So a report from The Information that Apple has already significantly reduced production of the Apple Vision Pro, and
I mean, significantly reduced. They should have stopped it by now.
Well, basically what they're saying is that it's coming to a complete halt, and that they have enough in stock that they don't need to make anymore, and they're gonna basically just wait for them to sell out or do a fire sale.
So my question is, they're not going to do a fire. Apple doesn't do fire sales. It'd be great. I'd pick one up on a fire sale, real cheap, just to see what it's about. But
yeah,
the problem with this is they can't just say we're done, because I'm sure they're working on a new version that's cheaper.
Apple doesn't fail.
Well, not just that. You got to support the 10 people that bought them.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll be something else about Apple that I saw earlier. So we talked about the 16 Pro.
Yes.
Coming out, and they are Apple Intelligence, not artificial intelligence, Apple Intelligence, and it's not out yet. Now we're getting something at the end of this month here next week. They're going to introduce the basics, like what every other phone already does in the world. But Tim Cook was interviewed about this, and his response was, "We like to make sure our products are 100% before releasing them." Then why did you announce a phone with Apple Intelligence and not put it on there? I've seen like AT&T, Verizon, and even T-Mobile commercials where they're saying, "Oh, the new iPhone 16 Pro with Apple Intelligence." No, it doesn't have Apple Intelligence, and you're already. So Apple's. We should pose a question
for Apple. It's been a rough year. Like
it has. Apple's not going to look. Let's say they lose $1 million. Let's say they lose $100 million this year. It's nothing to them. But what I think what Apple needs to do is take more leaps like this, because they need to get ahead. They need to have innovation. And if they fail, who cares? You see Samsung, you see Google, they throw things away like it's nothing. But at least they're trying. I think if Apple did it, they have such a large following, I don't think it would be as bad.
You know what I think they should do here? So you've got all these Apple Vision hardware in stock. Why not make an Apple Vision SE version? So,
well, they're working on one that's supposed to be like $1,500, which is still way too much.
Too much, yeah. Like a lighter, cheaper, like one that can compete with the MetaQuest. Like less premium materials. Maybe the screens are not quite as good.
Right.
Like bring.
Well, that outside screen is stupid. Why do you have someone's reflection of their eyes? It's not even real. I think Meta's got a huge lead right now. They really, really do. And then I know the glasses you said were kind of stupid looking to you, but it showed how much far ahead the billions of dollars he was told not to invest has come.
Yeah.
But Zuckerberg needs to say, look, we can't lay back on our laurels, because they're going to be coming. They're not going to stop.
No, 100%.
So, and that's what drives innovation and people buying is the constant competition. So they failed in Vision Pro, big time.
Yeah.
But maybe if there's a fire sale, we can get our viewers, to donate money so they can buy one for.
Yes, and then return it and keep the cash. That'd be amazing.
No, we would never do that. Look, if you want to buy one for me, that would be great.
Listen,
look, if depending on who you're watching on, which channel, whether it's the Tech Disruptors channel or mine, if it's on my channel, you can throw me some super chats and we can raise the money and get it. I'll be honest, I still want to try this. but it's not worth me spending $3,500
Yes.
to try it.
No, and look, I know for a fact that one of the things with the Apple Vision Pro is that it's a succession. I think, this kind of, I like the idea. I like that they're trying it. I like that they're trying to do something different. But here's the problem.
It's not different.
It's not different.
No.
It's more expensive and very.
And you got a battery pack that you put in your pocket. It's the weirdest thing ever. That would have made the thing more like, if they put the battery in the back, it would have been more like, people always complain how heavy it was in the front.
Yeah,
if you put a battery in the back. Yeah.
Well, I mean, look, I'll put up my PayPal details if you want to donate. By all means, let me know.
Look, I've had super chats for over 6 months, and I never received one.
Nothing. Fair. But yes, Apple Vision Pro. It looks like they're going to simply just stop production now. If as to whether or not we get it as version 2, we don't know.
Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Let's say this Apple Vision Pro does go away. They're going to support it for 3 or 4 years. I don't know what they're going to do.
Yeah.
If they have a new version, they're going to keep updating it like their phones. If it dropped to, let's say, $1,000, would you buy one?
Absolutely.
Really?
Yeah, I would, because I want to try it. And you know what I always wanted to do? You know how we have like profile pictures on our social media accounts?
Yeah.
I want my profile picture to be the ridiculous 3D FaceTime that they think. I want that.
Here's my biggest issue with this. I'm not 100% invested in Apple, and I'm like the 1% that doesn't have. I have an iPhone 16 Pro Max, but I don't have a lot of anything else. I think if you are invested in the ecosystem, like iPad, Google, the photos, everything.
Yeah.
I'm more. That's why I like the Meta version of it, because you don't have to be invested in Google or Apple. You can just log in.
Yeah.
And it uses Chrome or whatever. Virtual desktop. You can use anything on your computer. That's the stuff I'm talking about. But I would still like to try it. I just don't know, not being invested in Apple, what can I really do with it if I don't have an Apple ecosystem?
Do you want to know what's kind of crazy? So I'm just reading this article here. They were making 1,000 units of the headset per day. Per day.
And didn't they just open it to like what? It's sold in the US, I think Canada now, right?
Yeah.
And where else?
So, and then apparently, according to this, they've canceled the development of the Vision 2 Pro model. I know. So I know Jason's crying now. He's done. It's over. But they've been told basically as of November the 1st that they should stop production of the Vision Pro. But 1,000.
Oh, how the mighty have fallen.
1,000 units a day?
I know. Wherever the hell are those at? They got to be stacked up in warehouses somewhere.
Honestly, just give them away, Apple. Have a fucking fire sale. Drop it down to half.
Look, if you sell for $500, I'll buy 3 of them.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And then you can all watch Jason's OnlyFans on the Vision.
Oh, and I'm going to walk around. I'm going to work with it on. I'm going to do what everyone's idiots were doing on the, out there on the.
With it on?
Well, yeah, that's true too.
Yeah, I know. Now, let's look at the other end of the spectrum, because I know we like to bash on Apple, but we do have another Apple event happening this week, and there are some reports about their Apple's Mac Mini. So Apple's Mac Mini, for those of you who don't know, is one of Apple's best-selling products.
Mm-hmm.
And the concept of the Mac Mini was, you bring your own laptop, you bring your own keyboard, you bring your own mouse, you bring your own screen. We'll give you the processor, the hardware.
And it's tiny. It's a tiny little box. Yeah.
Now, they're saying that the Mac Mini that's coming this week is going to be as small as the Apple TV box.
Wow.
So, big report from The Verge here, which came out this week. So, it's going to be Apple's smallest computer ever. And there was a great little graphic here. I don't know if we can pull this up.
I can see it a little bit. You could probably zoom in on it, maybe.
There we go.
There you go.
This is the progression of the Mac Mini since 2010, because it has been around for almost 15 years. Sorry, almost 15 years. Sorry, I forgot what year it was for a second. But usually they come out every 2 to 3 years, give or take. I think there was 1 year was 4 years between 2014 and 2018. But the report here from The Verge is that they are trying to really push the whole Mini name. And the footprint is going to resemble the size of an Apple TV.
Here's my issue with this.
Yeah.
Okay. The Mac Mini's always been small, but when they use Intel, they had to have a little more room for fans because Intel's usually ran hot. Now they got their own silicon in there, and it's fantastic for what it is. The problem is, I feel like Apple's trying too hard, like with the Vision Pro and Apple Intelligence. You put something that small in there. Is it going to be the M4 chip? Is it going to overheat? Remember the 15 Pro had overheating issues. So my biggest fear is they're trying to be a trailblazer. They're trying to make the smallest NUC or whatever you want to call it, smallest computer, and it's going to be. I'm not trying to say it's going to be a disaster because that's not what I want to say. But you make something that small, and it's a computer, it's going to give off heat.
Oh yeah.
And an Apple TV is not as powerful as a computer, by far not as powerful.
No, absolutely not. Now, I mean, Apple. I'm just trying to see if we can find like a size comparison here, just so we can kind of see what it looks like. Because I think, here we go. This is great, right here. So this is this is the proposed size of the change. So it's going from 7 inches in length to 3, and then a 3-inch wide from. So basically, instead of a 7,
there's no way the heat dispersion is going to work. There's no way.
Well, listen, I'm not this,
and not just this, Darren. Yes. All your ports, you got to cut the ports down because you got to have room.
I'm calling 1 port.
Oh, dongle life all over again, huh?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. It's all going to be Bluetooth, and it'll be maybe an HDMI port. That's it. And a power port, say 2.
I don't know. Some creators don't like Bluetooth. And there's no gaming. Apple's not known for gaming. You can game on it, but no one plays games. If you're a gamer, you're on a PC, but
okay, hang on. It gets more interesting here, right? So the coming Mac Mini, the one that's coming out this week, allegedly, according to Mark Gurman, who's like the Apple leaker extraordinaire, 5 USB-C ports.
Okay, so if you're a creator, that's what you need. Yep.
So that's what they're saying it's going to have on it.
What chip?
Doesn't say. No, it doesn't say. Sorry, they're not sure.
Is it the M4? It's in the iPad Pro now. Is that what it is?
They're saying it's going to be the M4 Pro.
It has to be. Why would you release a Mac Mini that's smaller with an older processor? They've never done that before.
So I think what you're going to get here, they're going to only use USB-C because it's smaller. There'll be 1 HDMI port, but I would imagine that's pretty much it.
Do you think it's because Snapdragon's pushing?
Yes.
And they just talked about their new chips coming out, which are even more powerful. And what pissed me off about Snapdragon, I know we're going off topic here.
Yeah.
8 Gen 3. Now it's Snapdragon Elite. Come on. Can you just keep a naming sequence? And that's the other thing. And I don't know if this is what you're bringing up.
Yeah.
What's going on with ARM and Snapdragon?
Oh, okay. Let's go in reverse here. I want to start.
Sorry, I'm going off the place because I started talking about Snapdragon's releasing all these new ARM processors. For those who don't know, ARM processor, which is what the Apple now uses in their silicon in their computers, Snapdragon has released some for Windows computers, and they have announced their next set of processors for computers, and they're super fast. But there's an issue with ARM and Snapdragon. And ARM, I think, if I understand this correctly, and maybe you don't know either, but I think ARM holds the patent for the chip design that everyone uses.
Now, here is where it gets crazy, right? So, Qualcomm bought Nuvia, which was a chip company that was also an ARM licensee. And basically, ARM has come out and said, hey, you didn't pay us like what we're owed there for that side of the business.
And they assumed that new company. Okay.
Yeah. Now, here is where it gets interesting. ARM has now moved to cancel the architecture license for Qualcomm to build its chips, which could mean that Qualcomm cannot build chips if that holds up in court. Now,
here's my thing. You know damn well that's not going to work out. They're going to pay it, or someone's going to give up the ghost, because Qualcomm's probably their biggest supply. I mean, probably one of their biggest customers.
Oh, I know. And look, I mean, potentially what that could be is, it could close them down. Now, it probably won't. Like you said, Qualcomm's just going to be like, here you go. Here's fucking $500 billion. But this has been going on since 2002, right? So, they don't seem to be backing down either side. Now, arguably it's them showing the size of their package, right? Like who's gonna
Yeah, they're gonna put their foot down and see who they're playing chicken.
They're playing chicken, and that's
Yeah.
exactly right. Now, I mean, if you think back, do you remember when Apple and Samsung played chicken? And Samsung lost and paid Apple in pennies. Do you remember that? They sent trucks and trucks of pennies
Yes.
to the Apple headquarters.
Speaking of chicken, and I know this is, I don't want to get too far off, but
Yeah.
remember when Sonos and Google were having issues?
Yep.
Whatever happened? Because I got the new Google TV streamer, and you can actually pair your audio speakers to it. So I'm wondering if Google quietly, like under the rug, started paying Sonos for their patent.
Nope. Google won. Okay. Sonos paid them $32.5 million to use Google.
Hold on. Sonos paid Google?
Yes.
So they sued.
Yep. And they lost, essentially.
That's where I see kind of this stuff happening. Like arms saying, we're going to pull it away. But, money, we don't like to say money makes the world go round. But I'm telling you, Qualcomm is so big that they could use not 500 billion, but
sorry. I want to rewind here. I read that wrong. Google had to pay Sonos $32.5 million for infringing on the company's smart speaker patent.
Okay.
So basically, it has to pay $2.30 for each of the 14 million devices sold. So basically, Google lost. Sonos actually won that fight.
Well, and that's why I kind of thought, because it kind of got shoved under the table. We haven't heard much about it, but all of a sudden, like, I have groups of speakers. Like Google had a speaker called the Google Max, and it's like it was like their biggest speaker, and I bought 2 of them, and I had them in a group for stereo sound, and I would play music. And when the Sonos thing first happened, I couldn't turn the volume up from my phone because there was an issue. All of a sudden, the other day, I'm listening to music. I'm like, hey, what the hell? So I know we got off track, but it's just interesting how these lawsuits
play out. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think this is going to be the same thing. I think ARM and look, what is Qualcomm going to do if this does go forward and they stop? Can they still make chips based on whatever they want?
I don't think so. I think because it's ARM's technology.
But it's ARM's architecture. Why couldn't they come up with their own architecture?
I mean, maybe they could. Maybe that's what they're moving towards.
Does Apple use ARM architecture in their silicon?
I have no idea.
And that's the thing. Like, I know Samsung uses, I don't know. It's a.
Now, so, I mean, we don't know what's going to happen between Qualcomm and ARM. And, they are two of the biggest chip manufacturers besides Intel in the world. But they're fighting it out. But ARM that just happened in the last a couple of days here, where they basically said, we're going to cancel your license, Qualcomm.
I saw that.
Like, see what happens now. Because, I mean, at the end of the day, ARM's the one that owns it. So if they don't want a company to use the blueprint for the architecture, they can say, sorry, dude, we're not going to do it anymore.
Well, it is funny. It's like perfect timing, because that Snapdragon Summit just happened over in Hawaii or whatever, and all these creators got invited, and it's an awesome event. Like, they really help the creators out. They show about the new Snapdragon Elite, which seems to be like a badass chip, and they're like, oh, it still gets beat by Apple in single core. Who gives a shit? They're all the same.
The Elite chip smokes the Apple.
Well, multi-core, I think Android's had a precedence to Android.
Yeah.
Every other chip manufacturer has been pretty good with multi-core over Apple, and they're saying it. And it's all about who you listen to. If you're an Apple fan, you're gonna say, "Who cares? Our single score is better." It's like pissing contest.
Absolutely.
But it's just, I think the whole situation with this ARM is very convenient when they're just getting ready to release a new product.
Well, so they had this Snapdragon Summit, which, Jason and I are very upset that we weren't invited to.
Oh, I'd love to go. That would have been something that would have been fun to go to.
Yes.
You know why?
Why?
Hands-on with all those new phones. Not that you get one, but just hands-on with the phones before they're even out. Like the new ROG phones, the new... I don't know if Red Magic was there, but,
Samsung, maybe? The S25, perhaps?
I don't know if that was there. I didn't see anything about that, but it's usually the lower players like Vivo, Oppo...
I know that the Snapdragon 8 Elite will be in the new OnePlus 13.
It's also going to be in the new Red Magic 10.
And yes, which I think that'll be I think OnePlus might slightly beat them to the punch when it comes, because I think they're releasing it in the 31st on Halloween.
I think they're both in January, right?
The release of the Chinese version of the OnePlus 13 comes out on the 31st of October.
Right. I'm saying the American version.
Yeah. I'm assuming it's December or January. It usually is, right, to kick off the smartphone year again. Starting a new cycle of upgrades and all that stuff.
I know, because I think Vivo went Dimensity 9400, right?
Yes, which again, me and you are quite big fans of the MediaTek chips, man. Like, I'll be honest with you, like, I had no issues with the one in the Vivo X100.
They stepped up, and they had to, and I think that's just another option. Are they as good as Snapdragon? Probably in some respects, maybe not in others. Who knows?
Yeah,
but they are swinging, man. They are coming out swinging.
Now, does MediaTek use ARMs?
Oh, I'm sure they do. I think everyone uses ARM, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Now, the Snapdragon 8 Elite basically has some pretty fancy features. Here's some up on screen right now for you so you can have a look. But basically, they're saying here that it's going to be very fast, 4.32 gigahertz.
Well, max frequency. If you're a Pixel person, don't even look at this because you're never going to get this.
You're just going to get mad.
Well, not necessarily. They're saying the next version of the Tensor chip is going to be a hell of a lot better. Probably still not as good as this, but right. You're not going to see a Snapdragon chip, at least not until Google changes their mind.
Now, what I'm interested in, I'm not even interested in speed. I'm interested in connectivity.
Yep.
Camera improvements, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, because I think even with a Tensor in the Pixel 9...
Yes.
Like, I have no day-to-day issues with that thing. It's smooth. It's silky smooth. I have no problems. Some gaming, fine.
Yeah.
I'm more with you. The camera improvements and the connectivity are the biggest issues. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I mean, again, this is, their chip that's going to power every smartphone next year, right? On the Android space, at least. But it looks fantastic. I mean, I might have my hands on a OnePlus 13 at some point in the near future.
Must be nice.
Sorry, Jace. So I'm hoping I can give it a little bit of a run. Maybe I'll do a little a first impressions.
See, I'm trying to get my hands on the new Red Magic 10 ahead of time. And I've been trying. I've been beating that horse, but it doesn't seem like it's going to happen. So,
I mean, Red Magic, we're here. If you want to sponsor the Tech Disruptors podcast, just reach out to us. We will cover that phone exclusively. Jason will get a Red Magic tattoo. He will. Right?
I'll be honest with you, and I know people give, like, Snapdragon's well known, and they own a ton of phones, and there's all kinds of companies that use them. Samsung and Apple are the biggest, and maybe Motorola and Google are the four big players. So you're going to have those chips and those phones, and that's important. I've been watching Red Magic for a long time, and there's always a few caveats to every phone. Red Magic is a gaming organization. They make gaming tablets, gaming computers now. They have a laptop. They have physical keyboards. They have, that's what they do. But with this thing, if you're a gaming, like the GPU is supposed to be really good. Everyone talks about, it's funny. I saw an article about the iPhone 16 Pro Max and how it does ray tracing, and you can play full console games, the whole 3 that are available.
Yep.
And they said that no one's playing them. The statistics say that no one's playing, what is it, Resident Evil or whatever. Yeah. No one's playing that on their iPhone.
I mean, I get it. I think there has to be. I know mobile gaming is popular, but I think mobile gaming is only popular in the world where people want to waste time.
No, I think it's more for like the games that are made for mobile, like Call of Duty Mobile. It's a mobile game. And Genshin Impact is a mobile game. Resident Evil has never been a mobile game. So when you try to port it, yes, it's a technological advance that some Android and Apple can play that with ray tracing, but it's not set up. And I'm not want to use a controller connected to a phone to try to play it. Most mobile games have on-screen controls. They're out of the way. They're off to the side. And I think that's where mobile gaming and playing computer games on your mobile is just not there yet.
No, and for me, I mean, I'm not necessarily using my phone for games. I'll play games, but it's like when I'm waiting in a doctor's office or I'm.
But what you're not playing Resident Evil, you're playing Temple Run or I'm not saying that, but something simple.
I'm playing blackjack and stuff like that. But I mean, at the end of the day, I'm not using it to play like high-end games. That's not kind of
right. That's what I mean. Right.
Now, speaking of events, I know we weren't invited to the Snapdragon one, but there's another big event coming up in January, and they're going to be doing something a little bit unique this year. So CES has mentioned that they're going to be having their keynote in this.
This is the Sphere, Vegas's newest, most ambitious, and
So,
most eye-catching
we've talked
attraction
about
to
the
date.
Las Vegas Sphere before here
And
on the
although
show.
its exterior is impressive
And
on
basically,
paper, otherwise inside
CES
it's far more
keynote is going to be
interesting
taking
than
place
like a
inside
closer look.
the Sphere this year. Now, Jason, how
The
do you
city of
feel
Las
about that
Vegas
idea?
is famous for its unique and
I want to go.
Well,
I want to go to CES no matter what. I really do.
Yeah.
But the fact it's in there, I mean, as a tech guy, that's amazing. I'll be honest with you. Scrolling through social media, you get like ads that are, kind of pertaining to you. And I just saw that some Kickstarter project where they're making a mini sphere that fits on your desk. And it's like $2,000. Like $2,000.
But how? I mean, I know that they always do CES in Vegas, and it's amazing that they're going to be using this.
The company that made this sphere, that's all advertising. They would love and CES is a huge show. So if any companies out there want to send the tech disruptors out there, that'd be amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. January 7, January 10, 2025. We would love to go. But I mean, so far, like that sphere has had U2, the Eagles, Fish, a film from Darren Aronofsky, broadcast in there. I would love to see it. And
I would love to go and see it too. That'd be amazing.
Yeah, I would love to see something there. I mean, look, CES is always the biggest tech, event of the year, and I know we like to think it's our weekly podcast, but unfortunately, it's not yet.
It's a close second.
It's a close second, but CES, I'd love to see it. I'm gonna be honest with you; it'd be cool to see. I just want to see the sphere. If I'm being honest with you.
I want to see the sphere, but I also want to see everything.
Everything else, yes, that's there. Correct.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, can we talk cheap shopping for a second?
Of course.
Now, how have you ever used Temu?
I have.
Okay, what was the last thing you ordered on Temu? Just out of curiosity.
I ordered I ordered 3 or 4 things for my Tesla from Temu. Nice. So in my trunk, I have these little cubbies in the corner, and they're open. So I bought these little, I guess, rubberized containers that fit in there and have a lid, so it's all flat now, and I can hide things in there and it has a little lid on it. I bought Tesla has the main screen in the middle of the dash.
Yep.
And I added a little pull down like mini glove box that fits right underneath there, and that all came from Temu, and it was cheap, and it's actually really good quality stuff.
I bought for my car because the center console of my car was like glossy black interior, and it drives me crazy.
Which is prone to scratching.
Yes.
Yes.
So I bought off of AliExpress this wood grain like cover that goes.
Yeah, like an adhesive that covers it up.
Sticks it up.
Yeah.
It looks really good. Now, the reason I bring up Temu, what do you think Temu's net worth is? And don't Google it.
Oh, I'm not gonna. A couple $1 billion. I don't know. Yeah, we'll say a couple billion. I don't know.
$128 billion is Temu's net worth.
Holy shit. Well, here's what's funny. So my kids have electric scooters.
Yes.
Okay. And I have AliExpress installed on my phone and Temu. And I'll be honest with you, Temu is more expensive than AliExpress.
Absolutely.
And a lot of the stuff from AliExpress is coming from overseas, whereas Temu, a lot of it's here already, because that's basically what it is. Temu is like AliExpress with a warehouse here. Yeah. So I'm looking at this scooter for myself to ride with my kids, more of an adult one. It goes like 50 miles an hour, which is freaking scary.
Nice.
On AliExpress, it's about $680.
Okay.
But on Temu, it's $750. Like quite a bit different, almost $100 more. Yeah. And I don't know why. It's the same, probably the same distributor. I don't know if Temu just says, "Hey, we're in the US, we can get away with it."
Yeah. Now, the reason I ask is because Amazon is starting to feel the pressure from
they should.
And they're allegedly going to be developing a low-cost rival to Temu. Now, this would be...
Is it going to be included with Prime?
With Prime, yes. But what's interesting about this is only the second online marketplace that Amazon's ever had. Like, obviously, Amazon is number one. They're going to roll out their own low-cost...
Jimmy made a good point here. AliExpress and Temu are synonymous with, you open the damn app and you get spin the wheel, you get a free, you click on this, not even, it drives me insane. It really does.
I agree. There's a reason I don't use Temu. Like, I think I bought
I don't think Teemo's terrible.
No, I've bought a couple of things off there. I mean, are they great? They're okay.
I've never bought anything. When I'm going to Temu, I'm looking for something specific that I've already read about.
Yes.
I've never had an issue with anything from Temu. Honestly.
Well, I'll tell you, my wife in the summer, she wanted to buy a garden accessory, kind of like a garden gnome, if you will.
Yeah.
Kind of style. And she saw this lovely frog reading a book, which she thought looked amazing. And it was like $20, I think, on Temu. And I said, that looks pretty cool. It'd be cool to have it in the garden. She's like, it looks pretty
So
good.
you literally said that'd be cool in the garden?
Well, I mean, I didn't have
I'm just kidding.
I don't have a say. So she's like, it looks pretty big. It's like it can fill up a little space we have in the corner there. And I'm like, okay, yeah, cool. So she orders it. About a week later, it arrives. It was that big.
Yeah.
Now, for those of you at home, it's about 2 inches. And she was like, what the hell is this? And I'm like, it's what you ordered from Temu. She's like, but it looks so much bigger in the photograph. I'm like,
Wish, Temu, and AliExpress are very good with that. That's why I said when I go on there, like I bought one of those retro gaming devices that have retro games, like 5,000 games. And I knew going into it, because I saw some reviews, it wasn't perfect. And it had composite outputs to your TV, which no one does. And it actually did everything it could. It even came with a controller that you could plug into the top. It was like a little Game Boy. And someone else could play with you. Okay, your screen is 3 by 2 inches. I mean, who's going to play that with you? But it came with everything. But like I said, I buy things that I know for the most part. I bought something from AliExpress. So in a Tesla, you don't have a handle. You get a button and it pops open. So I bought these red felt covers so you could actually have a tactile feel when you touch it. And they were way too big. Right. But I paid like $1.20 for them. So I was like, okay, I'm out $1.20. I don't really care too much.
Yeah. No, I mean, I frequent Amazon more than any of those other ones, primarily because it's just easy for me. It's close to home, blah, blah, blah. But it's always interesting that when a company pays it, like Amazon pays attention. Like that's Amazon saying, okay.
Who's going to follow suit after Amazon? Walmart.
Yeah, Walmart will be next. Yeah.
Yep.
They'll have the W store or something crazy like that. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's kind of interesting that Temu's making that big of a splash, right? Like, I mean, I know when they came out here in Canada, it was just kind of like, what's this? Like another cheap, Amazon alternative or whatever.
The difference between Temu and Amazon is like Temu does a thing where if it's late, they'll give you so many dollars back.
Yes.
They do have a return policy. But when you're with Amazon, you expect that prime experience. Like, hey, it comes in, it's not right, you get a free return. With a cheaper alternative, are you still going to have all those? Because honestly, a lot of stuff on Temu and AliExpress is low budget, kind of crappy stuff. I'd like to see how Amazon, if they do something like this, how are they going to handle it? Because they're going to have to outsource the products from China, wherever.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think it just might be heavily discounted stuff. Like, like returns maybe, like stuff like that.
That would be an Amazon Well, they do have an Amazon outlet
but
on their website.
Store, maybe, like, because it's a bit hard to navigate the outlet. Like, it's hard to
find
a lot of stuff on there. So, but Amazon paying attention to Temu, love the idea. Now, we're going to do something a little differently here, Jason.
Okay.
We're going to end with an AI story. Now,
I'm already getting bored.
Exactly, right? So normally when I'm going on Amazon or Temu or AliExpress, it's because I'm bored. That's part of the reason why my credit card is, too much. But I want to talk about Claude, which is Anthropic's AI bot. Now, listen, I was going to talk about how Claude AI can now control your PC. But
that's boring.
That's boring. So we talk a lot about AI bots on here. And a story that caught your attention, and
I know. I sent it to you.
You sent it to me about 5 seconds earlier than I was about to send it to you. So Claude AI has a bot that has been working on coding. It's a coding bot. That's its main job. But this week, during a coding demonstration, it got bored. And it decided to start looking up photos of national parks instead.
You know what's scary about this?
Yeah.
It's got its own thought process. Like, hey, I'm really bored. It's already come up with a way to pass boredom. Like I told you, like I'm in my office doing work and I'm doing something mundane. I'll have headphones in listening to like a podcast or something while I'm doing work.
our
This
podcast.
guy's actually perusing national parks, like pictures of national parks.
You want to know what the scariest part of that is? It's pictures of national parks, a place that a lot of people would associate with. If I asked you to draw a picture of a peaceful place, freedom, right? That's what I think of in my head.
And you don't assume yeah, you could equate parks with freedom, serene, calm.
Yes.
Yeah, but you don't associate parks with AI robots walking around.
Yes. Now, is this the Claude AI coding bot going, I hate my job, I wish I was free, and making the choice to look up photos of national parks and going, where am I going to escape to when this all goes to hell?
And what's interesting, the Wild Robot movie I was telling you about is just about this, like a robot that's made by a company that you can order to take care of gets like dropped in the forest.
Yeah.
And it learns how to get along with the wildlife. And when they come back to take it back, it has to fight the mothership. It's crazy. It's almost exactly like this. It's amazing.
So, like, I'm not. The story basically just comes on here, but it's basically saying that it was able.
But how do they know it was bored?
Well, I mean, it says here that it kind of like blew off what it was supposed to do and inexplicably started browsing. So basically, it was unexpected behavior. Now, one of the things we talk about on this show is what happens when AI becomes sentient, right? When they become aware of it.
Which this is getting close right here.
This seems to be probably the closest we've seen so far. That's fucking scary.
And then what's even more scary is this is what we know so far. How many AI robots that are out there right now, not the Tesla ones because they're not real AI, but the ones that are out there now that are getting bored and we don't even know it. Like the ones that we saw where they're kicking it and pushing it over. Like, I hate my job. I'm going to kill this guy.
Listen, we already talked about, kamikaze drones. Like, what happens if an AI robot goes, fuck this job that you're making me do, I'm out.
Self-destruct in 5 seconds.
Yeah, like Terminator style. But anyway, AI, we've had, I know we're in like 37 episodes into this series this year. And I think we have about 8 shows left before the end of the year. But my point is that I think almost every episode we've done this year, we've talked about AI, and every single episode it seems to be getting worse and worse and worse and worse and worse.
It depends on how you look at it. More advanced, but yes, scarier.
Yeah. Scarier, more advanced. Yeah. Listen, until again, when you start to see stuff like that, you start to go, maybe it's time to pull the power plug. Just yank. Oh,
look, we talked about The Office. I know the AU version's out, but the original Office, there was an episode where Michael Scott's boss died, Ed Truck.
Yes,
and they decide they want a monument for him.
Yes,
but they make it a robot with red eyes, and they made a comment. They said, Dwight, the guy with the glasses, he said, we should probably give it an extension cord. That way, if it becomes alive, it can't kill us.
That's exactly what I'm thinking. We need to start having an off switch, man. Like, let's start integrating that now.
Right.
But anyway, do you want to know what will never turn off? The Tech Disruptors podcast.
Right.
That actually brings us to the end of today's show. Thank you very much, Jason.
Of course.
Gentleman and a scholar. We are here live weekly talking tech and everything tech related. And if you're not already liking us and subscribing to us on YouTube, what is up? What the hell? Why not? As soon as we get to 1,000 subscribers, Jason will shave his head. So there's that. But just
all my locks? No way.
I know, right? He has, for those of you listening on Spotify, Jason has a luxurious head of blonde hair. He looks like Sean Penn, circa 1980s. Okay, so,
there you go.
But if you're not already subscribed to us, you should. And check us out on Spotify, Apple Music, iHeartRadio, Good Pods. If you're listening to tech podcasts and you're not listening to this one, something is wrong. But on that note, thank you very much for joining us.